different backgrounds. They're coming in with their own way of doing things.
Right.
Sometimes it's so hard to change because they're so used to doing it one way, and this is
Hmm.
how I do it. I'm sure you've heard that a lot from
Of
people.
course, of
Yeah.
course.
And so a good leader embraces all of that and tries to find a middle or common ground for all of those things.
Yo, today I am joined by Miss Erica Brown, a friend, but let me professionally introduce her to you if you don't know her. She is a clinical by profession. She is a clinical sales specialist. She's on the board of directors of the Plaquemine Parish School District. She is one of the founding members of the Louisiana chapter of the National Sales Network, and within the church, she is the president of the Southwestern Diocese 5th District UCW. How are you doing today, Erica?
I am well. All smiles to be here with you. So this is great. Thank
Good,
you so
good,
much for
good,
having me.
good. So, of course, I'm going to ask you a question that you're not prepared for. Then we'll get to our prepared questions. So, I know that you are a mother of two, and I will ask this question because somebody asked me one day, so I'll ask the same one to you. Tell me one thing you learned about yourself when you became a mother.
Oh, I learned a lot of things about one thing I learned about myself that I think is so important is that who I am
Mm,
away from home, I have to be the same at home because as they grow, they will see the difference. And I want them to grow up rooted and grounded in knowing that mommy is who she says she
mm,
is at church,
mm.
at work, and at home. And recently, the reason I said that, hope I don't start crying,
You're good.
but
You're good.
recently Eden was sharing with me that, and that's my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's
Hmm.
14 now, that she was talking to a friend and her friend was like, oh, you don't know my parents. They totally different at home.
Mm,
And she said that she thought about it. She said, Mom, you're the same. She said,
yeah.
you're the same. And so I find that to be very, very important that who you are should be consistent
Mm.
across all facets of your life. And I thank God that He's allowed me to be that and that my child can see that. She did say the only thing is you fuss at us more than you do other people. Like that's part of my job. So
That's the job description. No,
that's
I
part of my
love
job.
that. I love that. That's a perfect segue into our first question, which I think is so very important as we study leadership. So, when did you realize you were a leader?
That's a funny question. I'm gonna tell it two ways.
Okay.
So my parents say that they knew I was a leader when I was in first grade,
Mm,
because um, I would finish my work and then I would go around and help other people. And because I wanted them to finish their work so that we could stay on task and we can go outside at a certain time or whatever. And the teacher saw this consistently in me and she had to call my
mm.
parents. And it's like, Miss Jordan, you have to tell Erica when she finishes, like, we love the fact that she gets up and helps others, but that's not the time. That's my job. But I found that I needed to help in some kind of way.
Mm,
But then I do vividly remember around 10 years old, still in the school setting, when my teacher would be gone on vacation or not there, that she would always leave a note with the sub to say, if you need any help, ask Erica.
oh,
And
wow.
I was like, she's always saying, ask me. So she sees something in me
Mm,
that I must have that helps others. So I must be a leader in some kind of way. And
yeah.
then that just trickled on into my adulthood that always stayed with me. But one way that I truly remember too is you remember when the Mega Fest was real big back
Hmm.
in Atlanta
Yeah.
in the early
Yeah.
2000s?
Yeah.
And so our youth ministry wanted to go, but they didn't have anybody to lead it or that could go. And I
Mm,
said, I'll lead it. And the fact that the parents trusted me to take their kids to
right.
Atlanta from
Right.
Mississippi, and that the older adults got behind me and rooted for me 100% and was there and was in line with the things that I was saying that needed to be done and all of the direction that I gave, I knew then I said, it's something different about me. I'm a leader. When others, especially older adults, can follow and I'm in my early 20s,
Mm,
there's something there. And so I just asked God at that point to start cultivating in me what that was. And he has been doing that since
mm.
then.
Oh wow. I'm gonna follow up and ask you a question. Because
Mhm.
you finding out you're a leader really was birthed out of what other people saw in you.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
is it possible, and I know it's a theoretical question, but go with me here. Can
Okay.
a person be gifted but not be a leader?
I, I think so. Very, very much so.
Mm,
Um, I know a lot of gifted people, being in
yeah,
the roles that I'm in, and they are amazing. They are geniuses, some of them,
yeah.
but they cannot lead. They cannot communicate directly
Mm,
to people. People do not receive from them. Um, their style may not be as warming or one that's
yeah,
receptive
yeah,
to listen to. And so those skills are something that has to be honed into and
yeah,
something that has to be cultivated. And you can be smart and have it all, and no
yeah.
one listens to you. So I think
Wow.
there's two totally different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of times, sometimes even in the church setting, when a person is gifted or talented, we
Mhm.
automatically just make them a leader,
Absolutely.
which may be a problem.
It is a problem. It is a problem. And that's one that I think a lot of us are learning, even in my role now as president. There are some people that may be talented in many
Mm,
areas, but may not have the wherewithal to lead others and to be impactful. And I
yeah.
think that's very important in the house of God. So just because you can do it and you're available, that's great. But let's see where you fit best. It may
Mm,
not be your talent. It may be as a supporting role for now until we
yeah.
can cultivate the leadership skills needed for that talent to be in place. So,
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, you
yeah.
refer to leadership as having a style. So I want to ask you, how would you describe
Yeah.
your leadership style?
So, Dan, this is so crazy. I have been in pharmaceutical for almost 20 years now.
Mm,
And they early on, it was really big. They wanted you to
right,
take
right.
leadership style tests. And I have taken so many. And every time my results come back, it's never one way. I'm never linear.
Oh,
I'm
really?
33% here, 33% here, 33% here, 33% here, never over 50 in any style. And
Mm,
one, I can't remember which one. We've taken so many from so many different companies, but one gave a really good explanation to why. They said in the era that we're in and the generation that we're in, the leadership style that I have is multifaceted. And
mm,
that's okay because I'm not always authoritarian in my way that I approach things. Sometimes I'm relational and
mm.
I'm not bureaucratic in my leadership style all the time, but
Right.
sometimes I may be diplomatic. And so things like that. And it made me think, okay, I'm not a leader that's everywhere, or I don't know my leadership style.
Hmm.
I'm just multifaceted and I can work in different environments and meet people where they are. And I find that a strength. Not to say the others aren't. Linear
Correct.
leadership
Correct.
styles are great, but everyone just doesn't operate in that way. And I love people and I love to communicate. And that's one of the big things they say with leadership styles of communicators. You have to be multifaceted
Right.
because you meet so many different people and you have to meet them where they are. So I have embraced that I am a little bit of everything, but of of it, if I had to hone it down to the top four, I would say that it's relational.
Hmm.
I definitely am an organizational leader.
Hmm.
I love things to be in order. It has to be to flow well. I am diplomatic. I do like to get the opinions of others when needed, but I also can be authoritative because there are times when diplomacy is just not needed. You just need to
Yeah.
tell them to do.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
I'm okay with doing that.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's something that we have to consider because it seems like your leadership style really does depend on the situation.
Hmm.
So let's talk about this, especially when you're dealing with
Hmm.
people, right? When
Yes.
dealing with people, do you believe leaders can only lead certain types of people?
Uh, Good leaders, no. I believe a
Okay.
good leader can lead all different types of people. And I say that because I've had the opportunity to do so many types. So, for example, from a professional standpoint, when you get a
Hmm.
job, they're looking for a certain type, right? They send out their qualifications and the criteria that they want, and they only look for that type. But when you come into a setting like the church or the board of directors or the network that I'm in, you're getting people from all different types of
Yeah.
styles and different backgrounds. They're coming in with their own way of doing things.
Right.
Sometimes it's so hard to change because they're so used to doing it one way, and this is
Hmm.
how I do it. I'm sure you've heard that a lot from
Of
people.
course. Of
Yeah.
course.
And so a good leader embraces all of that and tries to find a middle or common ground for all of those things. And they're able to do it. And so I think a good leader can come in and not look at that as a barrier, but an opportunity to
Mm.
grow as a person,
Yeah.
because it's definitely a task, but also to grow each of the individuals that are on your team as a
Mm.
person as well.
Gotcha. I'm gonna press you a little bit on this one.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
there any type of personality or facade that when you see it in a person, you're like, oh, here we go. I got to deal with this again. Are there any styles or personalities that you, not saying you run away from, but
Mhm.
you know, I'm going to have to work a little harder with
Yeah,
this?
it's a tougher nut to crack. Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
This is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the personalities that come in that are the very smart ones.
Mm.
They know a lot,
Yeah.
but don't know how to communicate a lot.
Yeah.
They may have been in an organization or in a position for a very, very long time and not uh, willing to change. A person that is prideful,
Mm.
um, that's really hard to work with, but you still have to work with them. A person with a jealous spirit that doesn't root for
Mm.
others on the team. That's really difficult, but you still have to deal with them. So I've
Yes.
found those to be difficult to deal with, but manageable. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to cut your losses as a leader too and say, you know what? This person is who he is. They don't want to change. I don't think they want to grow in this area with us. So
Right.
you need to see if this is a good fit for you,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
maybe your role may not be well with us,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, those are my tough ones. And I think every season God gives me one to keep me humble and to keep me at
Mm-hmm.
a place to think that I have not arrived, because we never arrive as a leader.
Mm.
We're always learning, we're always growing. We're always evolving too.
Yeah.
And those examples and those type of people help me to stay rooted and grounded.
I love it.
And so yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Some of your examples that you gave earlier referred to your work experience, which
Yeah.
sometimes people have said it's easier to work with people at work than they are at the church because the church is very heavily volunteer dependent. At the workplace,
Mhm.
you know, I'm going to do your evaluation. I know that you, but sometimes in church, we focus more on like, we kind of need you to do this. And I know it's
Mhm.
difficult to work with you, but I can't fire you. So I'm kind of dealing with you. So here's my question to you, being that the church is very volunteer dependent. Where
Mhm.
is the balance between still having a high expectation,
Mhm.
but not being overbearing to somebody who's volunteering?
Okay. So I feel this way. If you said you want to volunteer, that means that you have a skill that you want to use for the house of God.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that that's your resume and that's what you brought to the table. So I'm going to hold you accountable for that.
Mm.
So where you're going to be used and how you're going to be used is what we have to figure out.
Okay.
And I know it's free and you don't get paid monetarily, but the cost
Right.
is so much bigger to me than it is
Mm-hmm.
in my job. And
Mm-hmm.
people say, Erica, you work hard. Your job is really difficult. It is, but I take what I do for God way, way more serious because my
Wow.
rewards are so much bigger. And
Yeah.
so when you say that you're going to volunteer, yeah, it's free monetarily, but your cost and what you're going to get out of it and your reward is so much bigger. So I expect way more out of you. And so in areas like that, I get to know people first, Daniel. Everybody can't
Yeah.
take me right off.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
get to know you, and that's the relational part of my part leadership style. And I relate to you, and I thank God that he's put me in situations where I have been able to relate to the older generation as well as
Yeah.
the younger generation, the urban generation and the suburban generation,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
the corporate people and my blue collar workers. They're
Yeah.
all important in a way that your gift of volunteerism is important in the house of God. Now, how do we all work together to come up with the common goal to please Him? That's our
Yeah.
goal. That's our goal,
Yeah.
that He may be pleased in all that we do. Whether it's a cookout for the kids, like He needs to be pleased in all
Yeah.
that we do.
Right.
And so, when you say that they can't be fired, you're right, because they were never hired. God hired them when He saved them, right?
Right.
Right,
Right.
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 He hired them when He saved them. But the discipleship part of it,
Mm,
Daniel, is the most important part. The discipleship part is something that we have to cultivate within ourselves.
correct.
And when I say that as a volunteer, that's very important to me. I tell all of my presidents at my local ministry, you were saved, that was free. But your
Hmm.
discipleship of these women, it comes at a cost. And
Yeah.
what you're doing for God comes at a cost. So how are we going to go forward with this?
Hmm.
What you're doing, is it working? If it's not, let's shift.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would, you can't fire anybody in the church, but you can just definitely shift them around. I'm okay with that too.
Mm, hmm.
I wouldn't say fire you, but maybe this role is not, yes,
Right.
maybe this
Right.
role is the best for you, and
Yeah.
you may be better suited in another role. And that has happened on many occasions. Not always the easiest to do, but as a leader and you are discipling people, they trust you. Um, if they're truly following you and there's truly disciples of God, they know your heart, and they will make the shift with you. So I would encourage all the church workers who are working to know that you are working for free and this is not your job, so to say, but what we do, only what we do for Christ will last. And
Yeah.
so how you approach His work, I think, is the best, it's the best work. It's the best example that you can have for Him. And
Wow.
everything you do at your corporate job or outside of church, I feel like that's lanyard. It's
Hmm.
preparing you for the house of God, but it's
Yeah.
land at the end of the day. And I love volunteerism because we're so gracious in the
Hmm.
church too. And people see love sometimes that they don't see at work, because
Right.
some of their
That is true.
bosses, their leadership styles are so linear that they only see it one way. And so they can come in the church and be loved in a different way and be accepted in a different way. And then
Yeah.
they grow in a different way and learn
Right.
things about themselves that they can take back to their secular job
Mm, yeah.
and be disciples for Christ there. So I don't think, we never stop being disciples for Christ, but
Wow.
it's one of those things, your light can shine a little better. So I think the volunteerism in the church is definitely a ground for developing great leaders if
Gotcha.
we allow the Holy Spirit to do what He's going to do within us.
Gotcha. Now I'm gonna ask you a unique question I didn't prepare you for.
Okay.
But and I'm circling back to one of the questions I asked about, are there certain people you can't work with? I've done some research, and
Hmm.
sometimes I've heard for women in leadership, especially in the church context,
Yeah.
they struggle with sometimes men.
Hmm.
Um, what is the best way? And just based on your experience, if there is a woman in leadership at her church and the majority of people she may have to work with are men, what's
Hmm.
the best way to lead in that capacity
Hmm.
where pride may be an issue, sexism may be an issue?
Hmm.
Like, what advice would you give to that person to say, hey, I know you're about to lead a group of men? Not saying all men, of course, but I'm just saying, like, you may know Deacon such and such is on this committee, and you already know he a piece of work. Right. So, what advice would you give that woman to say this is how to do it?
That's a good question. My advice would be not to go in knowing they know your position. You don't have to say who you are. You don't
Mm,
have to show who you are. God will honor what He's put into you, and it will flow out to everyone in the room. I'm a
mm,
big firm believer that I'm not one of
yeah.
the ones who going, I'm this, I'm that. Don't do that, especially to a group of men. Because men are leaders by nature. That's how God created them to
Hmm.
lead. So we need to honor that in
Yes.
church. And so go in with a spirit of honor, I
Mm,
think, number one, and also go in with a spirit to be receptive and to learn from them. I have learned working with men, because my industry, just on the secular world, is
hmm.
men, men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and we are the minority. They're white males. And
Hmm.
so how do you deal with white males and make them feel okay with who they are and not be on an ego trip when you know you may know more than them and you may be smarter than them, but you want peace and you want to
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
and you want them to grow too, because that whole volunteerism thing in the church, as they grow as a person, they see things about themselves. So I found out going in and getting not going in to lead, but to learn is
Mm.
very important, especially in a male dominant setting. How has it worked for you? Tell me what you were looking to for us to get out of this. Oh, finding their characteristics that are really good, that stand out is very good. Like Daniel, oh, you're really good at this. Tell me more about that. Be interested,
Mm.
genuinely interested in what they do. And
Gotcha.
it will
Gotcha.
break down walls, I think, that was once there to think, oh, the woman is trying to come in here and tell me what to do.
Hmm.
But getting to genuinely know them, that relational leadership point, and genuinely getting to know their opinion and how they do things, even if you don't agree with it. And even if
Right.
you have to, for a certain season, go in their way to gain their trust. I've done that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very good advice too. Not if it's against the word of God or it doesn't
Hmm.
align with
Hmm.
his vision, but if it's not hurting anybody and Deacon so and so wants to cut grass on Wednesday before church and you don't think that that's something that needs to be done because we're about to have church, let him cut it until he gains your trust and until he really knows your heart. And then you will change that. And you can go to
Wow.
him at that point and
Yeah.
say, hey, you think Saturdays will be better? Because, all of this, especially in the
Hmm.
spring, the
Hmm.
grass and the pollen. He's like,
Yeah.
sure, never thought about Saturdays. Um, People open
Good
up
point.
and people are willing, even males willing to listen when they know they're not approached in a way that makes them feel like they're less than.
Yeah.
And I think we always have to remember that they are leaders by nature. They are
Hmm.
not less than us. God created them for a reason, and we need to embrace that. And I think the relationships work out well. Thank God, I've been very successful working with men in the church
Hmm.
because I have always embraced who they were. And
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Even if I didn't agree with it, I embraced who
Uh-huh.
they are. I didn't try to change it. I didn't try to give my opinion. My opinion does not matter at that point.
Yeah.
Uh, as the leader, if they believe it, they believe it.
They believe it.
They believe it. And you have to say that's what they believe. So I'm going to roll with it until God sees fit to change their heart on the situation or change my heart to say, you know what, Erica, this isn't bothering anybody. Or what did you learn out of this situation that can better you as a leader? So, but I think it's very important too, Daniel, that men and women work together. And I see in some settings, even in the church, that they're still divided
Mm.
in so many areas. And I'm still trying to figure that out. We
Yeah.
figure that out. I don't know if it's a dominance thing or it's just a cultural thing. I don't know, but
Yeah.
definitely something that we can work out. But yes,
I
go
love
in
it.
with a humble heart and a
Yeah.
sweet spirit, and you can win them over.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I love it. I love it. Erica, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time you've taken out of your busy day. I can't even pay you for this time,
You
but
wouldn't
I'm
have to pay
glad
me
you
anyway. You a
volunteered.
friend.
I'm glad you volunteered. So, yo, one question to get to know you on our way out. So, I'm gonna
Okay.
give you a hypothetical situation. You
Okay.
are God drops you off at a desert island for the next 15 years.
Oh, Lord.
You can only read one book of the Bible, take one thing from your house, and listen to one song for the next 15 years. What would be the one book of the Bible,
The one book of the Bible.
the one thing you would take from your house, and the
Okay.
one song you could listen to for the next 15 years?
I'm by myself. Nobody's there with me. I'm by
Just
myself there.
you. Just you. And
Okay.
no communication with family.
No communication with family.
One
Okay.
book of the Bible,
The one book of the Bible, it'll be
one
Psalms
thing from your
91.
house.
It'll
Oh,
be Psalm,
Psalms.
Psalm,
Oh.
because I would definitely have to have a praise in my heart
Mm.
to be on the desert by myself, being that I'm a communicator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, The one thing I would take from my home is probably a picture of my family
Okay.
because I
Okay.
would probably miss them. And what was the last question?
Only one song you can listen to for 15 years.
One song I could listen to for 15 years. Um, I know this I love this song. It's never gotten old. A lot of them have, but Donnie McClurkin's "Created Me a Clean Heart" and
Mm,
"Purify Me." That probably would be the song because I don't
gotcha.
ever want the Lord to take His spirit from me. Like,
Gotcha.
and I always want Him to restore the joy of my salvation. So that's one of my songs. Never gets old. Never
Gotcha.
gets old.
Oh
So
my gosh. There you
that's
go.
it.
Picture the family, the book of Psalms, and created me a
Yeah.
clean heart. Well, thank you so much for your time, Erica. We really
Yes.
do appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you,
So,
Daniel. Love you. Love the work you're doing.
one love. Yo, enjoy the rest of your day.